Please welcome everyone here on the screen. You're looking good. All right. So please welcome my how do I go about that? Nichellee Marsh. She's your brand strategist. I'm giving my own intro and your intro too. So she's my business partner. She's my friend. Again, she's my business partner and she's our brand strategist. And she's more than that. So she's a serial mompreneur. She's a mom, an entrepreneur, creative designer, brand strategist, and digital marketer. She is the founder and CEO of the Branding Lounge LLC, a business that helps entrepreneurs start and build and scale their brands online. Prior to launching her first business, Nichellee spent years in working in the IBO and hospitality industry, where she learned the art of connecting with and serving and developing people. Please join me in welcoming my dearest friend, your brand strategist, Nichellee Marsh. Let's go!
It's the energy for me. I love it. Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, and happy International Tunisia Day. I love it. It has been amazing, and I hope everyone here has been taking notes, because from Ramonda, that was an amazing start, right down to Saula. Did I say your name right? But thank you so much. It's been amazing, and I'm actually really happy that I'm following up Saula's presentation, because I'm trying to pronounce it. It's right down my alley, actually, and a lot of the pointers that she touched on, I'm actually going to speak on them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, if I may, Abir. Well, thank you to everyone that showed up today, and I believe we might be live streaming on Facebook. We appreciate all the energy, all the support. As women, it's amazing for us to just come together and support each other. And my goal today is just to inspire someone out there who is either like me or striving in that direction. So my name is Nichellee, and I go by Niche. You can call me Niche. I am a mom, a business owner and founder, the chief of 2 companies. I currently practice branding and brand strategy, where I help small business owners and help small business owners to develop their brands and increase their revenue through creative design, strategic branding, and digital marketing. So my little background about me. I am actually a law graduate and an awardee of the University of Technology. I am from Jamaica, actually, and I have a lot of family in the room tonight. Shout out to all my Jamaicans here. However, I actually studied law, and I received awards in communication, information technology, business administration, and since then, I've gone on to study graphic design and digital marketing. I actually spent years working in the IBPO industry and in hospitality. And there I have enhanced my skills of connecting with people, communicating, developing, and training people. I walked away from my last 9 to 5 to have more time with my son, who is now 3 years old. He's all of 3 years old. I can't even believe it to this day. But I wanted to become a full-time stay-at-home mom, to be able to homeschool my son for the first few years. But then I started a side hustle. as a solo freelancer, and over the last 3 years, while raising my son, I have accomplished working from home while building an online business, building other brands, and launching thriving businesses. All of this while raising my 3-year-old son. I'm not saying it's easy. There were struggles, but I did it. And I'm glad to have supporters and powerful people next to me that were able to guide me along the way. I must note that at a pivotal point in my life on this journey, I played an integral role in helping a small business owner scale his brand from 0 to multiple 6 figures in a matter of 3 months. And this was just before launching my official brand and my official business, the Branding Lounge. So now I continue to serve small business owners and especially female entrepreneurs looking to start, brand, and scale their business online. So what's my goal? My goal is to help other ambitious women and mompreneurs out there to do exactly the same thing I'm doing, turn their side hustle into a full-time, just a full-time business, and create the life that they've always wanted, and pretty much return to their families. And I'm doing that through an initiative that I'm starting called Boss Mom Talks. So I'll talk more about that later. Enough about me. Let's get into the meat of the matter. Today, we're going to talk about brand strategy. This looks a little weird, but today we're going to talk about brand strategy, and we're not going to let anything stop us today from accomplishing our goals. So internet issues, no matter what come our way, we are going to get it done. All right. With all the motivation and inspiration that we got today, I know we got this. So what is brand strategy really? We're going to talk about the importance of branding, and we're going to go into actionable steps to develop your brand marketing strategy. All right. So the key takeaways from today will be establishing your brand goals and defining branding. We're going to talk about the key steps to build your brand, the importance of brand strategy, digital brand marketing tactics, and the secrets to brand growth. All right. So as I mentioned before, a lot of times I get asked this question, what is brand strategy really? Like, what is this about? So brand strategy covers things like purpose, vision, mission, belief, values, attitude, audience, proposition, and positioning, right? So let's break that down a little bit. And this is how I look at things. Let's look at it first. What is a brand? A brand is an intangible marketing or business concept that helps people identify a company, product, or individuals. Oftentimes, people confuse brands with things like logos, slogans, and other recognizable marks, which are actually marketing tools to help you promote your products and service. However, once set together, your branding, your brand strategy, it's actually the goal of it is to use as a guide to actually guide every decision that you make as it relates to marketing campaigns, your website. It could be even a TV commercial or just an ad that you run. Once you have your strategy together, then you'll follow that guide. So now as you move from purpose to impact, now is where we actually start building out the brand persona, and you'll grab your graphic designer and say, okay, now let's put this into visualization, and now let's develop a brand logo, the tone of voice, the colors, composition, typography, everything that goes together into creating your brand identity. But your digital brand strategy is a long-term plan that documents specific principles to help keep your brand consistent, memorable, and distinct with time, which it helps keep you on top of like other people's mind. Like, okay, when I see those colors and that logo, it connects me with this brand. And that's the goal of a brand strategy. So branding, therefore, like my previous speaker said, I'm not going to mess up her name, but she said it's about storytelling, right? It's about storytelling and positioning, right? Branding all comes down to storytelling, achieving a strong brand experience while meeting set goals. And we're going to go a little bit more into that. But before we talk about that, let's talk about what are your brand goals. And as we're talking, I wish I'd already given all of you guys my guide. And so you could be following along, but please take some notes and ask yourself, what are your brand goals? Is everyone still seeing the screen?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
great.
Perfectly.
All right. So yeah, what are your brand goals? What do you hope to accomplish? For me, branding is not just about making things look pretty. We like when things look pretty, right? However, great branding means customer acquisition performance, hidden sales goals, and scaling revenue streams. So what then must you take into consideration when you're setting your business or brand goals? First, you need to ask yourself, what is your business past performance? And if you're just getting started, then you must conduct a market research. And we'll talk more about market research further on. Let's talk about traffic. How many people know your brand, your brand or business exists? A lot of us, like my previous speaker said, even all of our speakers have touched on this, due to whether it be imposter syndrome or any fears that you encounter, you may not have been speaking about your brand or showing up for your brand. And I'm telling you, we all go through that. So, but you have to take this into consideration when you're talking about your brand goals. How many people know your brand exists? And also the way you plan to position your brand to make it memorable, right? So those are the questions to bear in mind. So let's talk about creating brand awareness. So the first part is your name and your logo. Name, meaning when someone sees your brand's name, do they know what product and services you sell? Like, that's important to bear in mind. Brand awareness is a marketing jargon that describes how well a customer can recognize your brand based on several elements, right? So it's all about bringing awareness to your brand. For example, your logo. Can a customer recognize your brand just by looking at your logo, right? And then your tagline and colors, tagline and slogans. You know who you're talking with when you say just do it. I know we all know who we're talking about when we say just do it or can you hear me now? When you hear those slogans, it connects in your mind with a brand, right? And it goes for colors as well. When you see soda, the soda can, the soda can that you drink with a rich blue color, right? It's almost always going to be Pepsi. If you say, oh, a soda can that you drink soda out of and has a really red or blue, well, if red, we're thinking Coca-Cola, blue, we're thinking Pepsi. So right away in my mind, I'm connecting colors with a brand. Are you establishing that with your brand? And then finally, products and services. Recognizing a brand based on the product. For example, if someone knows what type of car company just by looking at the engine, you have done something good. And then on top of that, services, right? Tying a brand to a specific service. When you see someone looking for a car or maybe just hopping out of a car and they're looking down on their phone, what do you think? It's safe to assume they were looking at, or they were booking an Uber, or they were traveling with an Uber or a Lyft company. So that is all about, tying your brand message into a product or a service, but creating that awareness. So when persons either see your name or logo, your tagline or colors, your products or service, they instantly connect it to your brand, right? So that's about brand awareness. And I'm going to move into UVP. So the first time I heard this word, I was like, what is this? But I've read into it more and I see that it's super, super important, right? Because no matter how amazing your product is, if it doesn't resonate, and I think one of the previous speaker mentioned this, if it doesn't resonate with your audience, you have little to no success, because what your customers value is just as important, if not more important, as what your brand values, right? So in branding and marketing, UVP, which is a unique value proposition, is a statement that clearly tells your potential customer how they will benefit from your offer, how your products or services will address their needs. Sorry about the background noise. I'm sorry. But it will talk about how your products or services will address their needs and solve their problems. What makes your offer different from the competition? So what are the questions that we need to ask ourselves? And please make a quick note. What does my customer want? That's the top and most important question to ask yourself. What does my competitor do to meet that desire? Right? And then in the overlap, where can I make my unique offering, which basically will be the solution? So that will together will create your unique value proposition. All right. So now we're going to talk about brand messaging, because it's naturally the next thing we need to be thinking about. How do we go about doing this? And I actually learned this these steps recently on actually a podcast session, the Brain Picker podcast with David Shands and Donnie. And it's actually a formula. And once you get it right, you can't lose. All right. So there are 4 steps actually. So first, you attract. This is where you identify the pain points. This is where you say, are you tired of, this is where you're identifying the pain of your target audience. And now you're able to say, identify these pain points. So now you're attracting them. You're creating that attention grabber, right? And then from there, you can appeal to them. And this is where you're going to let them know, hey, this is what you're doing wrong, or you're just not doing this at all, right? And then now you shift the mindset, because mindset is everything. So now you're going to now enlighten them and say, hey, what if I told you that? And now this will cause them to start thinking like, this makes sense. And now always, and we embed this even today with our partnership and in our companies that we help, a call to action. Always end with a call to action. Sometimes your viewers or people that are looking at you and trying to discover your brand, they don't know what to do next. And you kind of have to draw them to it. Like, give them a call to action. Like, click the link in my bio, comment this, say this, and that will actually drive them on and close for you. And then finally, the value proposition, which we actually just spoke about. So we understand what a value proposition is and why it's important. All right. Is everyone following? I know I'm going really fast. I just want to get through the presentation. And so I'm going to go into talking more about, actually, this shouldn't be brand awareness, so forgive me. But quickly, I'm going to skip over this because it looks like I bypassed this slide. And I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay, so let's talk about how to develop a brand strategy, a digital brand strategy. So first, we're going to start with market research, right? Market research. You need to research and understand your customers. You're including insights, and for social media, you can find insights on your social media, and for websites, you can go and do your research there. But market research, even if you're just getting started, is super, super important. You must build your marketing techniques on understanding what your brand stands for before you begin executing a marketing campaign. And this is super, super important. Your digital brand strategy is a long-term plan, right? It basically identifies the principles that keep your brand consistent. And so if you identify these principles, you can now go ahead and say, hire a marketing team to help bring these forward. All right. So my tip is, don't hire a marketing team or social media manager if you haven't spoken with a brand strategist or someone in that expertise, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up spending more money than you need to be spending, burning cash, basically. All right. So planning ahead. Let's talk about planning ahead. Protecting your reputation. It protects your reputation and your brand's integrity. This includes timeline of events. Planning ahead also creates a clear and consistent direction for your business and brand goal. I can use a recent example. We find that sometimes if we overlook the finer details of events, we might find that we may send the wrong message. So if you just spend a little time sitting down and planning ahead, your voice can stay consistent and your brand will remain nurtured. And I find that I use a recent example of a recent campaign that we have, and I see that it was super important to plan. Planning is super important, and Abir can back that up when it comes to events planning. So now let's talk about what makes you unique. You always hear this popular saying about the market is saturated. The market is saturated. There's so many people doing what I'm doing. But to that, I say, it's about your story. At the end of the day, brand strategy boils down to one thing: storytelling. Right? Some of us are better at it, and some of us still feel a little closed off about sharing our story. I'm still trying my best to open up more about my story, and now I can actually encourage others to do it. But your brand strategy, it is the story and the vision. Your brand, therefore, is an experience. The experience that the customers have with you, your product or service, right? And this triggers the know, like factor. I call it the KLT factor. It's a know, like, and trust. You build that by sharing your stories, right? And for something to be, it creates an experience, but for something to be an experience, it needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. at the end of the experience, there must be some kind of a change. And for me personally, I thought that I needed to get to the end before I start sharing my story. And so as a result, I closed off a little to social media with sharing my story, because I'm like, I'm not there yet, or it's not perfect yet. A lot of us struggle from that, or even the imposter syndrome jumping in to say, maybe you're not that professional yet, or you're not that expert, but at the end of the day, share your story, share your journey, and take your people with you on that journey. And I'm battling that too. As a mom working from home, I'm learning more and more. It's important to share my story and talk about what I'm going through. And finally, so let's talk about the secret to growth. I discovered this recently as acting chief operating officer for a company that I'm helping to grow right now. I've learned that the secret to growth, wait for it, it's finding talent. Like, the thing is, as a strategist, I find that it's one of the most important thing, and it's actually one of the most important ingredient and secret to success, right? And in many cases, the thing is, it's actually from outside your organization. So you might think, oh, it's within, but actually sometimes you just have to go out, right? And then this comes back to the art of automation and delegation, right? Finding and hiring help, and the right help, right, to help your business scale and grow to the next level. That's super important. So if you have a team and you don't have the most creative people on your team, then you need to go and find yourself a creative thinker or a brand strategist or someone to help you put those ideas together. Or if your talent is not organizing or scheduling, then you may need to hire someone else, like a virtual assistant or someone to help you with that. But be sure to hire the right help. All right. So that's super important. Also, investing in a creative brand guideline or strategy is super important. And I added that because I find that a lot of times, before a lot of companies try to run marketing campaigns, we didn't have like a set brand guideline. And so we seemed like all over the place because we didn't have that media kit or that guideline in place. So that is super important. So I'm just dropping that in there. So overall, market research, planning ahead, finding the right talent, and sharing your story. For me, that is a strategy, and that's the starting of a strategy, but it's a good start. All right. So I'm going to move on to actually where you start, because I know it's a lot. So let's just look at 3 actionable steps to start. So the first thing you do is create your brand's profile. Right? You're getting started in your business. You want to get going. Nichellee, where do I start? All right, let's create your brand's profile. So some refer to this as the media kit, and it serves as a variety of purposes when making a presentation, marketing campaigns, and this also include, all right, I'm sorry about that. Let me refocus. So creating your brand profile, like I said before, a brand guide or a media kit will actually help you go a long way. Once you have that, if you hire someone in to assist your business, you can hand that piece of material over to them and they will follow your brand so it remains consistent. And that's the purpose of creating your profile. All right. And I wanted to add that I will include this for all the female CEOs in the brand guide kit. And I will show you how to access that later. And then secondly, I would like you to present your product or service. Let's decide how you will show up online and how your products will be positioned. If it's a digital product, then maybe we're looking at websites, funnels, and sales systems. If it's a physical product, like maybe we're looking at a brick and mortar store or we're looking at an e-commerce store, and I can help you and guide you along the way. And then finally, seek your target audience. Conducting the market research that's necessary, identifying your avatar, and niching down to create your ideal client persona, right? And target audience. So these are the first 3 things I would do with you if I am helping you to actually get started with branding. Okay, so 6-figure brand framework. Let's create that 6-figure brand framework. So these are the main points. Define your brand and its objectives. Identify your niche and avatar. Make it so that your brand is recognizable and make it easy for people to navigate what you offer. reinforce individual products or services that are your biggest draws or hottest sellers, and ensure the flow of your front end brings your customers on a journey. And I want to add that recently we actually redesigned the whole website just to accomplish this, the customer's journey. What does it feel like when someone goes on your website and they're looking for something? Are you bringing them on a journey? And one of my teammates actually pointed that out to me. Shout out to you, Samar. And I said, that's actually a really good tip. And I just wrote it down in my book. That is super important. Bring your customers on a journey. Make it easy for people to navigate what you offer, and actually make it so that if someone's going on your website, they can search something up and find what they went for. All right. So ensuring you visually display your product description is also great for search engine optimization. So make sure you have your descriptions on, and everything goes together to create your brand framework. And I'm telling you, you will be successful. So final tips. All right. So branding can be a loaded thing and a loaded word for entrepreneurs. So everyone talks about the importance of branding, but putting it into practice can actually be a challenge. It's a challenge for everyone. So these are basically my practical tips and advice on how we can make it work. And pretty much, I want to just say, it is a lot, and brands are not made overnight. It takes time. So be patient with yourself and know that it will evolve and it can change from time to time, depending on what, your brand needs at the time. So here are my final tips. So refine your elevator speech. The other day I don't know if everyone here knows, one of our business partners is actually a male, Darain. I made him refine his elevator speech because sometimes we have a lot to say. And I actually refined my elevator speech every So when you're in a 30 to 60 seconds to talk about yourself and your business, what do you say? Do you know what to say? We have to refine that and smile. This may sound elementary, and I believe one of the previous speakers spoke about this, but it's the truth. Like, happy, positive people are more fun to be around and therefore more memorable. So smile when you're talking. They'll, even if they're not seeing your face, they'll hear it in your voice. And also, the key to establishing your brand on social media sites is to build relationships. I've learned that, and I believe now it's becoming more of a thing, because the truth is people don't log on to Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter looking for something, looking to be sold something, right? You have to get into the emotions and give them that experience. And that is your brand. You are your brand, right? So always consider the purpose behind your content. Your content or purpose should reflect your brand mission and vision. Like, get very clear on what it is that the purpose of what you're posting. Is it to motivate, inspire, educate, advertise? But just be clear on what you're doing. Don't just post and ghost, which a lot of us are guilty of, right? All right, so get clear on your offer. What are the benefits? What are the benefits that someone receives after working with you? That's a question to ask yourself, and then get clear on what it is you're offering. And then finally, create a brand guide. I can't stress this enough. Brand guide or a media kit, it will actually create consistency for your brand and your brand message. And also, finally, always consult with a brand strategist before starting marketing campaigns. I had a bunch of notes, but I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to end here and take some questions. And I just wanted to say that I'm currently writing my very first ebook. Pray for me. It's going to be on my process and my journey from freelance to founder. And I actually renamed my book recently after some deep meditation, but it's going to be on my journey, and I wanted to write my story. I believe that's super, super important. And then also I'm going to be releasing workbooks, and it's going to be workbooks and planners on branding to profit and automating your business to accelerate your business. So you can actually subscribe for them. All the links are here, and I'll drop the link in the chat. And then finally, before I close, I want to add that I'm a proud woman and moms in business advocate and goal is to partner up with a bear as she teaches me to launch my very first podcast for like-minded women at Boss Mom Talks. So join me on this journey, join the community. I would appreciate any support, any contribution. I'm looking to build a community for women like me. Either you're a work from home mom or you are just a woman in business and you would like to connect. So yes, that is my presentation. I hope I did you justice. I'm open for questions.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. Let me see. Do we have questions? I love the interaction in the chat. All right. Do we have questions in the chat or come on stage? I know you have a lot of questions. Because I do.
Abir, can I erase even like I'm like too many things? Oh my God, this is just incredible. And I have so many questions that I'd rather actually ask the question right to her in a private thing.
Jump on the opportunity. It's an opportunity. Don't miss out. So ask your question.
Yeah, no, it is really true. So when everything that you said is relating a lot for me. So I do lots of things spontaneously. But if you would say one single thing, like not to skip or not to do when you're having your personal brand, what would it be?
It would be niching down.
Okay.
You have to do that. Like, it's the hardest thing, but it's so important to niche down. And I actually created a worksheet for that to help you identify your avatar and niche down. It's going to ask a lot of questions. It's a whole worksheet, and I have it on the link. But that is super important. And for a lot of people, it's a struggle. But it's super important. So your brand message will determine how you speak. It will determine how you show up. Like, if I know I'm speaking to women, or if I know I'm speaking to small business owners, if I know I'm speaking, it doesn't matter what, if you're a new entrepreneur, you're just getting started. Those are my people. Like, either you're fairly new or you need to rebrand. I know who I am talking to. So if you don't know who you're talking to, that's going to affect your message. So I think don't skip that. Thank you for that question. That was an amazing question.
Amazing.
That was going to be, and it's always good because as an entrepreneur, it's like I know every time. So it will really help a lot of people because niching down, niching is something, the most important thing. I think that's a lot of money. Yes, you're right.
I agree.
So, Nishi, I will have a question. Like, that's for me. I want you to recap the most important point when an entrepreneur, they're going through the journey of branding or rebranding. Where do they start? I know the first thing is niching down. So if you can share 3 important points or tips that entrepreneurs should do or focus on while they're starting. Am I frozen? Hello?
So that would be my second step. So first, you do your market research. Second is to niche down and identify your target audience. And then after that, you can go about creating your brand profile or media kit.
Thank you. I think I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I will catch up the recording. And let me see in the chat if anyone else have any questions. I see a lot of good interaction, good feedback in the chat. People saying very interesting, precious information niche. Am I frozen again?
What advice do you have to someone who has already established their brand and they kind of want to change the course? Do you recommend they start over or do a soft rebranding, still do whatever they're doing on social media, but then just make their comeback rather than just closing down and starting all over? What advice do you have?
Yes. In order to rebrand, you actually do not have to shut down.
Yeah.
It's surprising. You do not have to shut down. The best process to rebrand is just to first create a strategy, right? How am I going to go about doing this? Now, what am I moving from? Where was I at? And where do I want to be? And what are the main things that's going to be changing about your brand? Once you have outlined that, then you definitely want to go about through different mediums informing your audience. You're going to either reach out to them via email, social media, newsletters, however way you engage with your audience, you're going to inform them that this is where I'm at and this is where I'm going to be. So these are the changes to expect, and let them know what's going to change. Will they still have access to the products and services that they've been enjoying? Because you never know, you might decide to rebrand or to change route, but there are other people out there that's been enjoying what you've been offering. So you have to let them know what to expect, what is going to change, and and so they can determine if your brand will still resonate
with them. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Thank you.
Good question.
Yeah, I think I'm back. So yeah, any other questions?
You're back and we're having your back. So that's good.
Yeah, I know. My ladies, they got me, I'm sure. So thank you very much. Thank you, Heidi, and the backstage team for keeping it rolling. Yeah, thanks for this lovely presentation, Nishi. I learned a lot. Thank you, Nishi, for sharing that. And hey, tap in. She's the one. She's the one. She's been holding us as a team when it comes to branding and marketing and all that. She's a real one. So thank you, Nishi, for coming on stage and sharing that. And please connect with her, and not just her, connect with all the speakers. Find them on LinkedIn, find them on Instagram, share the stories, tag me so I can reshare your stories, check their programs and their websites. So Nishi, she just dropped her quick links and all that. So